As you all know, the original plan was to host this conference in Guayaquil, my city, but COVID suddenly arrived and Guayaquil was the epicenter of that virus in Ecuador, and all the activities stopped. Curfew was imposed to us, which lasts till now, but with fewer restrictions. This did not stop us from continuing to work, but due to the uncertainty and unreliable connections here in my country, we decided that it was better to establish the University of Pennsylvania as our main center of operations in order to keep the conference dates. And here we are. And back to Carlene with some ICT community updates. Carlene?
Thanks, Monica. Monica's been an unbelievable co-conspirator in this. And, you know, it just has been amazing, really, when you think that we were figuring out, you know, menus at different restaurants and locations to figuring out Zoom. So it's just been great working together. Just some updates for everyone on the ICTD community in general. Over the past year or so, there has formed an interim governance committee, and that governance, that's an interim governance committee. So I hope you all keep your eyes open for emails coming out soon, hopefully, about votes for a permanent governance committee that would help the community kind of share responsibility for stewardship of the conference and the community going forward. I think it's a great time for this kind of action. And so keep your eyes open for that. Also, we are looking for our next hosts. And so if you are interested in applying for your university to host the next ICTD conference, also keep your eyes open for a call for hosts for next year's conference. And I think that is it. We can now move on to our program. And so I will hand it back to Monica.
Okay, thanks, Carlene. We are going to start this conference. We were supposed to start this conference with the talk of Carla Morales, but we had a communication problem. So we're going to start with Janet Chavez and her talk, which is Indigenous Voices and Visibility in the Digital Era, the Teotitlán del Valle Zapotec Talking Dictionary. And Janet was born in Teotitlán del Valle in Oaxaca, Mexico, and she's a native Zapotec speaker. Janet obtained a degree in language education in 2009. She began to carry out research on the Zapotec language as it is spoken in Teotitlán del Valle, with the aim of designing study plans to teach this variant of Zapotec. From 2011 to 2017, Janet was Director of Education at the Research Library in the city of Oaxaca, where she has collaborated in the creation of the Zapotec Online Conversation Dictionary of Teotitlán del Valle. This tool is an important means of documenting this language to Zapotec speakers and students who want to learn it, okay? Janet, she will give her talk live, and she will be answer your questions as they appear on the chat. But we have some time constraints. We will restrict the number of questions in order to finish the presentation on time. So please feel free to ask your questions by chat, okay? Janet. Okay. Now Janet is going to make her presentation.
Good morning, everybody. Well, first of all, I would like to thank all this processed invitation. Thank you to Monica, to Carlene, to all the people who has been involved in the process of organizing this conference. I was really very excited to visit Guayaquil for the very first time, but due to the circumstances, we need to adapt. I'm very, very glad that you didn't cancel. So that's something that I really, really much appreciate, because even though we cannot be in physical, we can still learn from each other and meet each other. So I'm gonna greet you first in Zapotec, then I'll start with my talk. Sakshdi ben gijliu. Rabete, zuwa konza ayuktu najire. Stius and binit, niguni, tenye, shizin kayunia con stija, con stij benza, con stij benjie. Nana, nagang na tiembre, kayung galzi, vetne COVID-19, lo dus gijlium. Ziente dusan, kabaindang, galgich kan kayedan galbuti gashga pornik rikinga yenium jigab shagachang skalka union dus kalvanium skalka yunlaun du gijliu rinia bagal nazak gal nadang parkat tuidunung stizinium ta yuktu. So that's how my my language sounds like. That was a greeting, doing a little reflection on the pandemic of what is going on right now, and like inviting you to do a reflection on how we are doing our lives and how can we change the ways that we are behaving with our world and then with the people that are around us. So for this morning, I entitle my presentation as Indigenous Voices and Visibility in the Digital Era, the Teotitlán del Valle Talking Dictionary. So here we go. So I would like to start this talk with this reflection. The relationship between language and the internet is a growing area of policy interest and academic study. I like to start with this because it's always very important for me when doing my work, the relationship that exists between the academics and the local people, the people who has the knowledge of the language. How we treat them, how are they included in our projects, academics, not academics, and how they can be involved and learn from it, not just like taking the information, but also sharing it with them and making it easy for them to understand what the work that the academic work that it's going on. So I will develop this idea during my talk. So I'm from Oaxaca, Mexico. Oaxaca is down in the south of the country, and as you see there in the there's a red star. So we are very close to the Guatemala border. We only are separated by the Chiapas state. So Oaxaca is known in the entire country of Mexico as one of the states with the largest linguistic and cultural diversity. So here in Oaxaca, we have 6 linguistic families that are, well, we have here in these trees, like each family and then the branches are the languages that are spoken. In this one, we're just not counting the Indo-European linguistic family, which is where Spanish belongs. And with the time and because of migration, we also have other languages, not only the Otomangan or Utonawa, but also, like, for example, the Mayan languages speaking in Oaxaca, that little by little we will be adding them to our list of languages. So here. So this is the map of Oaxaca, the state of Oaxaca. So you can see how the different languages are divided in the state geographically. So I'm a Zapotec speaker. So you can see there that in the orange, all the orange part is Zapotec. So my town is Teotitlán del Valle, a Zapotec community in the central valley of Oaxaca state, which is the name of the state and then the city as well. And we're not very far from the capital city. We're around 40 minutes. According to the 2010 census, there's a total of 5,638 inhabitants, from which 3,843 speak Zapotec, divided into monolinguals and bilinguals, and the rest of the population are non-Zapotec speakers, only Spanish speakers, or passive Zapotec speakers, which means they understand the language but do not speak it. One of my town's main income generating activities is weaving wool rugs. It is estimated that there are at least the same number of looms as families, making Teotitlán del Valle a town of weavers and world recognized by that. I myself proudly belong to the 4th generation of master weavers in my family. So everybody I will dare to say that in my town, we are weavers. We have weaved probably maybe in our entire life one rug, like everybody. Of course, more than one rug. But this is a very important part of us, that it's included in our traditions and in our culture, and then in the language as well. Zapotec is a broad language divided into four large variants: Central Valley, North Sierra, South Sierra, and the Isthmus. Each variant is then subdivided within its own regional area and then by town. This large variety makes each variant very specific in vocabulary, how it's learned, its study development, and the vitality of the language itself. For my town, for example, we have a wide vocabulary related to weaving and dyeing, words and expression that might won't exist in the neighbor town. Like the neighbor town is 15 minutes from us. You can walk to there, and then they do not have the vocabulary that we have to describe textiles, to describe the weaving process. So it's one language, and it's very broad. And then to explain you and to make it a little bit clear on how regionally it works. For example, my town is, I'm in the valley, central valley of Oaxaca. Then there are big districts in the valley of Oaxaca. My town belongs to the Tlacolula district, which is the Tlacolula Valley district. So we're not, as I said, we are 40 minutes far from the city. So my Zapotec variant will be Zapotec variant from the Tlacolula Valley, specifically from Teotitlán del Valle. So there are many other towns from this same region, from this same area, but we all have a different accent, we all have a different probably tone, and then words to talk about things. Some of them have lost, through the time, have lost vowels or consonants, and then because of migration as well, we add and we lose many phrases or words. So here. As a child, I never saw any book written in Zapotec, and I never had a classroom teacher that spoke the language of my town. Rather, speaking Zapotec in front of them was disrespectful. Zapotec is acquired orally within the family, grandparents, cousins, parents. Even though we have 5 school institutions in the town, the effort to teach and learn the language within the schools hasn't been a priority. And we still lack of an standardized orthography, a pattern that is repeated in many indigenous communities around the world. Yeah, so basically we learned Zapotec, speaking the language with our family or friends or parents, grandparents, basically. We do not have, as I said, a way or a standardized way to learn the language. So that makes it difficult to have access to literature or pedagogical material in the language, and then specifically in the variant of Teotitlán del Valle. I just want to make clear that Teotitlán del Valle is a very specific case. Probably if you Google Zapotec songs or Zapotec poems, you will find lots of information and poems from us, from the Isthmus, which is a very different variant. Myself or like the people who speak Valle Zapotec won't be able to understand their variant from the Isthmus, so we won't be able to have a complete entire conversation. Yeah. Although digital media and social networks are part of our daily lives and our way to interact with the world, and as speakers of indigenous languages, we still need to really own these spaces, to share and to learn and to be recognized by our languages and cultures in the present, because we are in the present. So I always make this reflection as a indigenous woman, as a Zapotec speaker, not only for me, but for all the young generations and older generations, like my parents' generations, that are already using these smartphones, having Twitter, having Instagram, having Facebook accounts, and reading the information in a language that they do not speak daily, or they speak with people from other parts, which is Spanish and not Zapotec. So always having this in mind, how can we own these spaces? How can we really say, oh, I'm gonna use Twitter because to express myself, to share about my community, to share something, a joke or a cultural thing or a belief in my own language? How can we make them these, how can we make these digital media and social networks speaking our languages? How can we feel part of it? How can we say, I'm going to tweet something in Zapotec, and something that always stops us to do it is, but who's gonna read me? Who's gonna be out there reading me? And we start between us, among us, start building our digital social network community, so we can feel like share the same thing as when we publish something, post something in Spanish, we never say who's gonna read if I tweet something in Spanish. Of course, there are many Spanish speakers in the world, but then if I tweet something in Zapotec, there's a big diaspora living, Zapotec diaspora in other places that might read me. So it's always like giving it a try, and always reflecting in these two questions. So I remember in my elementary and middle school education, which I attended in my town, the history and geography books provided by the Federal Institution of Public Education portrayed the Zapotec as a culture from the past who spoke a language that was not Spanish and who were weavers and farmers, a civilization that lived in the same territory in which I live today. Neither books nor teachers would recognize that we were living and being educated in a very much like Zapotec community, where its inhabitants are weavers, we're farmers, academics, and Zapotec speakers. A community that has very well-founded traditions, customs, and beliefs strongly supported both by time and by the present. Similar to this experience, the internet has become an easily accessible tool, free and full of information on many topics. However, it still does not completely speak our indigenous languages. So, and still today, in 2020, there's this misunderstanding and there's this misinformation of who are the indigenous people. We are always like under everything else, under every other culture that is more prestigious and that has much more speakers. So I'm also trying to contribute a little bit in how can I change these ideas? How can I change this information? How can I contribute to have a better environment and more friendly for us, and that we are living in the same space. So, well, this is a picture very that portrays Zapotec before the Spanish conquest, that is very common to see in books, school books, and then but we don't see something like it's new, something that it's these days. So in the other picture, I'm portraying three old women from my town, wearing their traditional customs, which also is something that you can still see, like these two different views in my town, like the old people wearing the traditional customs, and we, the more modern people, wearing jeans, wearing jackets, wearing something very different from our grandmothers, and still we speak the language and we still live together and in harmony. So this is the very present, and I'm gonna play this is a video that I really wanted to play. This is a celebration in my town. It was the main festivity of the town, and these are kids. And something that I really love from my community is that in these important festivities, kids count. Kids are part of the tradition, and kids are called to dance and to celebrate our festivities. So it is something very important, because then we are teaching them their roots, we are teaching them our traditions, and in 20, 30 years, they are going to be the ones that will keep with these traditions. So this is the Jarabe del Valle. It's a traditional dancing that we dance only in weddings, in the town's festivity, birthdays, which is something that also it's joy and we need to grade for. So I'm gonna play it for a little bit so you can listen to music and see the steps. And what they are holding in their hands is poleo, which is a very special herb. And it's just symbolizing that they are nasa. They are, which means they are happy, they are celebrating, they're in a big celebration. So let's do this. So here it's very interesting and something that makes my heart beat very fast is how the old elder people are sitting around admiring and paying attention to the kids, how they're dancing. It's what we do, like we can do this like all night long, just admiring, and by admiring how people dance, we are paying our respect to them. So that's a little bit part of my community and my culture. Well, in seeking to contribute with the creation of new alternatives on how to learn Zapotec, I put together the structure for a basic Zapotec as a second language course. But first I had to learn how to write and read in Zapotec. I basically taught myself based on the work of speakers and linguists of other Valle Zapotec variants. I adapted it into my own variant, and I took a friend's advice. It doesn't matter if you don't have an standardized orthography. What matters is that you are writing it, making it visible will help to relate the letters with the oral language. When I started teaching my classes, my students had a huge demand on more Zapotec sources, because we are used to, when we learn a new language, we are used to go online or going to a library, bookstore, and finding literature, finding music, finding movies, and we can surround us with the language that we are learning in that way. But with Zapotec, we cannot do that. But as I said, because of we haven't done that much effort, not in our schools, we do not have that much information, that much material. So students wanted to read stories, students wanted to a dictionary. Of course, when we are learning a new language, our Bible becomes the dictionary becomes kind of our Bible, right? So they all tell me, teacher, I looked on the internet and did not find anything. The material, and then the materials that I was offering them weren't enough for them, and because I was developing them as the course went on. So this experience of mine started in 2010. Years before that, like probably 1 year before that, I started training myself on how to write and how to read in Zapotec. It's tough. It's that was a very tough part in my process, but I'm getting there. I'm getting there. So. So in 2013, with the support of Professor Brooke Danielle Lilla-Hagen from Haverford College, I met her by chance, really. And we created the Teotitlán del Valle Zapotec Talking Dictionary. This is when I started connecting the digital era with Zapotec, bonding my community language to a kind of academic and language activism and facing new challenges. So I already had many challenges in putting together my Zapotec course. I first had to learn how to write, how to read, and then as a speaker, well, we all can speak a language, but speaking certain language doesn't make us teachers of that language. So I had to learn the underneath of the language, like the grammar, like find out like the tones. Zapotec is a tonal language, so we're not writing tones, and so it went all in my mind like stressing me out, like nobody is writing it, and what if I write it wrong? That's why I take this advice of this friend of mine. It doesn't matter, just write it. And if you ever publish something in Zapotec, having something published, people will take it serious. So I just went with the flow, and I started, and I said, okay, let's do this dictionary, and let's see what can happen. So working with the talking dictionary, it's been very fun, and it's also been very encouraging for me. So let me go to a different slides. Okay, because I have more to show you. This one. Okay, so as I said, my town is a town of weavers, so I've been focusing on weaving a lot and in the dictionary. So the Zapotec Talking Dictionary has had various positive impacts, like creating a link between the speaker and the digital space in their own language. It also is an open source that actively includes native speakers and gives them credit for their contribution. So then the project itself becomes part of the community and their own benefit, as well as seeing the digital space as a friendly and reachable tool to learn about the language or in the language. From inside the community and outside the community as well for the diaspora. I have found digital media to be a useful source, allowing me to contribute to the preservation of our traditions, strengthen the use of Zapotec language among the younger generations. So this is the work. In the picture you see my dad, that's our weaving workshop in Teotitlán del Valle. And I was very interested in documenting the weaving and natural dyeing process. So last summer, I had this group of students from Haverford College, as we do every summer, documenting, recording, video, recording voice, and then recording in the talking dictionary to these words, these phrases in Zapotec for part of our daily lives in weaving. So, for example, this is how we do, or how I take notes. All the notes that I want to, all the words that I would like to include in the talking dictionary. And then let me show you the talking dictionary now. So here. So this is the talking dictionary. It's online, it's free, and I'm able to listen the word and to see the word written. So this is we can separate the categories of words or topics in the semantic domain. I here have the weaving section, and all what I'm gonna see is weaving. So this one here, for example, banca para hilar, or spinning wheel. So banco de So I've been very lucky because there have been, I have included the voice and the knowledge of around 32 to 35 Zapotec speakers. This is among young people, old people, like everybody. So we also have, or I also have documented the traditions. In Teotitlán del Valle, we have this part of the Dance of the Feathers, which is a representation of the Spanish conquest. So it's a big deal there in Teotitlán. It's a big commitment being part of a group of Dance of the Feathers. So this is how it looks like. That's the church. That's a 16th century church in Teotitlán del Valle, and those men dancing there, wearing a big feather crown, dancing. They dance during the main festivities of the town. So this is very interesting because it's a representation of the Spanish conquest, but at the same time we have all these ritual that it's only, that it doesn't have to do anything with the Spanish conquest itself, or with the Spanish language. So it's very interesting. It's very traditional for my town. As I said, big commitment. So I wanted to document this part of our tradition. So here in the dictionary, I'm gonna show you some of the words. It's danza de la pluma, or dance of the feathers. So like I wanted to document part of the clothing, which is very, very fancy. So they use this thing with old money, like an apron with old money, which like the very old money used to be only silver, so it's very hard to find those. So but they still find it. So for example, to listen this.
Ladrica medgulal.
Ladrica medgulal. Again, I was very lucky to interview a former member of a Dance of the Feather group. So he was very kind to show steps and to show us steps and its names. Something that we can do now with the Talking Dictionary that I'm loving a lot is that we can include videos in the word. You can either listen the word and then have an example to contextualize the word. So it's more like you can do a learning more, make learning more fun and with a real context. So buya, is the word for dance or dance of the feathers or the dancer. So this in this video, I'll show you how it's danced.
Janet, a question. Janet? Yeah, we have a question from Anthony.
Yes, please.
Okay, Anthony say, hi, Janet. Thank you for this work and sharing it with us. Can you talk a bit more about the process of designing your course and what was helpful in either technology or course design for enabling your students to be creative in adapting and conceptualizing Zapotec as a part of the modern world?
Right. Thank you for the question. Yeah, well, it was a very, very interesting process, creating this, both the Zapotec class and then the dictionary. The process that I took for the talking, for the that's how I called my Zapotec course, is that of course I first, as I said, first had to learn how to write and read in Zapotec. Then I had to learn about the grammar of the language, taught myself, and later on I met Brooke, which is a linguist, who's a linguist, and she explained me deeply about the Zapotec technical part. So I worked when I had this, started this idea, and I started the to plan the Zapotec course. I consulted with a teacher from Teotitlán that happens to be my aunt, my mother's sister. So she was a teacher. She in the 70s, end of 60s, beginning of the 70s, she was the teacher responsible of teaching Spanish to the kids. So the kids could go to school and learn Spanish. So she teach them Spanish, and like there's a big generation from the 60s to now that we speak Spanish because of her. So she had kind of guilt in her soul because she feels like she took away the Zapotec from younger generations because of she taught Spanish. So I went with her and I told her that I wanted to teach Zapotec. She, in the preschool in Teotitlán, she taught Zapotec, like little Zapotec, not like that formal. So she helped me, she gave me ideas. She was like, okay, so first you have to know that Zapotec is a language like the Zapotec that we speak here in the town. It's a language that you need to contextualize. If you're gonna teach it to outsiders or to native speakers and from other towns and probably city, then you have to find a way, or you need to find a way on how to make them understand and make them think in Zapotec, not doing the translation. So that was like, okay, so for example, me, when I speak in English, I try to think in English and not in Spanish. So I said, okay, seems easy, and I'm gonna give it a shot. So how can I make people who are not related with Zapotec language or culture, how can I make them to think in Zapotec? If if they speak a different language. So that was a very first challenge, like recording in my mind and breaking my head in how am I gonna do this. So first of all, in my class, in my course, what I teach is the very respectful ways on how to treat another person, on how we are in the town. Like if you find someone, even though you do not know in the street, if you find someone, you have to greet. So, and you have to feel that greeting, sakshadil, if it's in the morning. And that sakshadil, what does sakshadil mean? It's not buenos dias, it's not good morning. It's beyond that. And how am I going to make my students understand that good morning is have a sacred morning, or that you have a sacred morning, or you have a worth it morning. So I started finding ways on how to explain that. I found out that going into the town, taking my students into the town and live the experience in the market, in the street, and how people greet each other will make them, like I'm very poetic sometimes, so I always try people, make them feel the language, the sound, how it sounds. It's not like Spanish. It was very difficult doing it. There were people who, students who understood that. There were people who thought it was very difficult to feel and to see. And it was an entire process of educating them, educating people, educating outsiders. And I was very, very proud because I could clear their misconcept of being Zapotec, of speaking a indigenous language. First of one of the things that made a big change as well in my students is knowing that Zapotec and any other indigenous language is a language, not a dialect. So here in Mexico, we have this very, very struggle, this situation where people make us like under everything, tell us Indigenous and tell us that we speak a dialecto. And dialecto or dialect for them, for people, is something that is less than a language. And lots of my students had that idea that Zapotec was a dialect because it's less than any other language. So I had to do in my class an entire panel of what a indigenous language is, what languages are spoken in Oaxaca, where you can listen to those languages, and culturally how is make us part of society, how we are part of this world. Our language has grammar. Zapotec has been studied and for many years. The first vocabulary and grammar was published probably around 9-10 years before the first English grammar. So people do not have this information. We do not have this knowledge. So it was my mission, and it is my mission to spread this word and to say, okay, Zapotecs, we are very much alive. We're here. we travel, we eat pasta, we eat pizza, we wear different clothing from our grandmothers, for example, and we can certainly learn our own language as we learn English or French. But
Janet?
yeah.
Yeah, we have one more question, but maybe we can leave that question to the end so you can continue with your presentation.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, thank you, Monica. Coming back to the talking dictionary, as I said, that we can now include these videos in the dictionary to picture and to contextualize the word or the use of the word. Here's another example. This is my father in the video. He's saying Yebhu, which is marigold flower or wild marigold flower, which is a flower that we use to for our natural dye in our walls. So he does here an explanation of it. Yebhu. So, for example, in this kind of picturing and videos in the talking dictionary will help me and helps not only new speakers, new learners to understand more of the language, but this has been very used for kids. I was very happy to be invited to read my Zapotec stories to kids there in Teotitlán, and they were using the talking dictionary to create their own stories as well. So many of them were kids that do not write yet in Spanish. They're like 4 or 5 years old, and having these videos will help them to learn more about the language and to see and to repeat the language. So
Janet, we have 2 more minutes for your talk, and after that we have to move to the questions.
Sure. Thank you. So let me dejar de esto. So for me, it has been a big challenge going into my community to do this work. You might think that because I'm from the town, it's very easy for me to go in and say, hey, I have a talking dictionary, come and listen, or come and record words with me. Generations are like this. So we have old people, younger people, people doing something, people not doing something, people who will see it as a good thing, and people who will say, we need to consult with the entire town in a general meeting and see who is this woman who wants to do this, and probably she's making a lot of money out of her cultural language. But no, I really do not, I do not make any money out of this. This is my passion and I love doing it for nothing, for free. but for like the experience and my contribution into the web to have something in my language, because when I was a kid, I was dying and I was with this hunger on finding something in my own language, and I couldn't have it. So if I can do something and give it to someone young, old, I am gonna do it. So I just want to show you this picture of this man, Señor Froilán. We were recording, I was recording words for the dictionary, and then this man here in the community radio station that there was a dictionary that you could record and listen words to the words and then see the written, the written part. So there was a man from the community radio station that lent us his house. So we were announced that in Casa de Señor Edison, we will be recording and we will be working. So this man arrived and he brought his own paper dictionary, which was actually a notebook. And he was for years writing his own words, like birds, verbs, everything. Like he'll say the old words, how to say something, but they were not old words. They were Zapotec. They are Zapotec words. The only thing is that we started mixing Spanish into our language, that we started forgetting the Zapotec words and replacing them with the Spanish word. But he'll say, I have many old words that I want to record. So with Señor Froilán, I was very happy to work with. And he was like sharing all this knowledge. And for me, it was something like to recover and like to put out there and start making, trying to make those words again, trendy. So people start like remembering them and using them. So this is I couldn't do this without the support of Brooke, the linguist from Haverford College, who is supporting me on this work and has given me all the decisions and take all the decisions and lead the project with the help, and then having the help of some students that are trained. So this is also us last summer. That's my mom, and we were talking about weaving and the games that kids, how kids learn how to weave in a playful or as a game. So all that. And this is one summer, that's 2016, where we had a big crew, and that's the house that we were working in. It was the house of Señor Edison, the radio station man, the community radio station man, and we did a great job. And since then, I've been like more and more involved in the community. So I'm open to questions, and I still have lots to say. Because it's a lot, lots of experiences, lots of learning, but I also would like to hear from you and your questions and keep the conversation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Janet. Yeah, we have a question from Richard. He wrote, thank you, Dr. Janet, Dr. Chavez, with a language that is as contextual as this one, an interesting challenge with using digital technologies. Okay, digital. Sorry, my screen disappeared. Okay, it says with a language that is as contextual as this one, an interesting challenge with using digital technologies for language guidance is how decontextualizing ICTs are. Could you talk a little bit about how you could foresee future work contextualizing Zapotec with educational practices mediated or implemented through ICTs? So that is the question.
Yeah, so still a very big challenge. It's not that easy. With the talking dictionary, for example, and something that we have to have very, very clear when going into a town to work with different people, with different minds, with different situations. I will say that, first of all, Teotitlán del Valle is a very nice town. People are very friendly because of the work that we have, which is the weaving rugs, and that's where we get our income. Among many other towns in Oaxaca, Teotitlán is very, very fortunate to have this work, and many families have access to internet, have access, if not of a computer, but they do have access to a cell phone, these smart cell phones. So in comparison probably with other towns anywhere else in the world, we can also face that towns or in the same Teotitlán that there are people who do not have access to internet, nor to computer or cell phones. So that's one of the very first challenges that it's not, that we have to think about before, or to include in our dream to work with indigenous language and do something great in using new technologies to it. So in my own experience, one of the main challenges of working with the talking dictionary in Teotitlán and doing all this contextualization of the language and then the culture to portray it in a talking dictionary is that sometimes the lack of support from the people in the community, people or committees, of local committees saying, yes, we are going to lend you a public space in the town. We are going to lend you our Wi-Fi password so you can work. And at the end, the day that you arrive there, they do not have the password. They are not there. They are not just available to help you to do the work. So that has been one of the biggest challenges that I have had, that even though that I want to include part of the authorities, committees, educational committees, cultural committees, they do not are available as they suppose need to be. So that's one of the first challenges. Last summer, and that was in the past summers as well, I will need to go walking in the street, in the market, greeting people and asking them how they are, if they are in the rug market, in the rug where they sell their rugs. I will go and I will ask them how is the day, if they have sold anything yet or not. And once I have their confidence, I tell them, look, I have this, there's this project of a dictionary from here from Teotitlán, and it's a very nice project. Is a talking dictionary. It works like this. I show them the talking dictionary. I need to like download or the dictionary previously, because we do not have Wi-Fi on the streets. So after I show them the talking dictionary, I ask the question, would you be interested in recording words? People have said, yes, I want to. We use a recorder, like in the old way, recording, then students help me to cut and clean the audio and then upload it. And there are people that has said, no, let me think about it. No, thank you, I'm not interested. And there have been very, very kind people who I have found in the streets, tell them about the talking dictionary, and they will be like, do you want to go to my house? And I do have Wi-Fi there and we can record there. I can do it. And I can take 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours from my daytime, and I'll be happy to do it. So it has been very challenging, and I've been wanting and dying to do more things. But I haven't found a local team as well. Like also one thing that many people are expecting is that they will receive a payment, and I do not have money to pay them. And if they do contribute to the project, is 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours at the most, and once every year. So there are many obstacles along the way to do this. It doesn't sound that easy, not because I'm from the town, I'm going to have the path, the wide path to do it. Thanks to Professor Lila Hagen, we have had this continuous work and these continuous grants to support the talking dictionary itself, the platform that is sponsored by Haverford Swarthmore College. So,
Janet?
yes.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you. We have 1 more minute, and we have another question. So maybe if you respond it quickly, otherwise we have to move to the sessions. Okay, I will read this from Dorothea. I love this work and your reflections on the issues of language activism, poetry, indigenous culture, human connection through language in this talk, and the role that a digital talking dictionary can play in this. And how far are there for a network for sharing good practice and tools in this space? Does, for example, UNESCO Cultural and Linguistic Program play a role in supporting such networks? UNESCO Cultural and Linguistic Program play a role supporting such networks?
Yeah.
You have maybe 2 minutes, no more, to answer the question.
Mm-hmm. Is that
the chat? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm yeah, I really haven't go like broader than what I have right now. And probably one of my I mean, I love doing this job, but still I need to accept that there's fear in the middle of it. And mainly because it's only me doing the work here, luckily. It's like leading the work, it's only me. I do have had students provided by the summer trainings and summer Haverford, sponsored by Haverford. But the thing with the students is that it's not continuous. Each year they change. And each year probably I can have the same student for 2 years, but then it changes. And then we have to go a little bit back and like do like the entire thing again. So for me, it's kind of challenge doing this work. And it also is, I still do not dare to like say, oh, I want to do this, and then not being able to do all the thing, you know, like because I haven't found someone that seconds me, that said, okay, let's do it, let's, and from the community as well, or from here, from Oaxaca, or someone else that can like another Janet together with me. So yeah, I'm always open to new collaborators, to new ideas, to more information on how and where I can go and ask for support. I'm very happy and I'm very open to that. And there's many things that I would like to keep telling you, but I think we're very
Yes, we are, yeah. Okay.
In the chat, I'm gonna leave you my email address. Feel free to contact me to keep the conversation. I will be very, very happy to keep the conversations with you, like during these days and in the future. During the coffee breaks, just send me an email and we can do a private Zoom or like phone call or something else. But yes, I'm very, very happy to have this audience, and this has been a very, very nice experience for me. This is the very first time I attend to a Zoom conference, and I was kind of nervous that of the format, but it has been a very nice experience. And thank you so much for the invitation. Thank you so much for listening to my work, to my words, and let's stay in touch.
Thank you, Janet. That was wonderful. I'm just thrilled, and I hope we can follow up with lots of interaction. Oh boy. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up because the lawn guys are here. So let's move on now to coffee break, and then our next session, paper session 1, starts at 11:50 Eastern time. And so we will see you all over there. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.